Today, we'll be talking about PGR's resident ballerina, Bambinata, or Bambi for short, the newest character debuting in the upcoming patch, Left Unsaid. And if you're new and you don't want to miss future PGR guides and videos, don't forget to subscribe. You can catch me on Twitch at twitch.tv/SpiderToBe, and if there's any updates or corrections, I'll leave a pinned comment down below. Alright, let's spin on in.
こちら 2B 問題ない
Bambinata Vitrum is the base A-rank attack omniframe that deals primarily ice damage and features burst damage, decent AoE, all while elegantly dancing on enemies. The fact that someone at Kuro woke up and decided let's make a character to dance enemies to death is kinda base though, not gonna lie. And in this video, I'll cover her skills, passives, ascensions, playstyle, weapons, builds, team setup, compare her with Plume while giving my pull and build recommendations. And as usual, I'll leave timestamps if you want to jump to specific topic. And going through her kit, her basic attack is the dance, doing physical damage in melee range, and pulling enemies with her string, dealing ranged physical damage. Her QTE spins on a target, hitting the target multiple times for a fairly long time, dealing ice damage. And going through her orbs, her red orb blasts a weave of threads around her, dealing AoE physical damage, and this deals ice damage if it's a 3 orb or matrix ping. She can dash cancel out of the orb cast, and like Lucia Plume is her ideal orb and should be prioritized over casting other orbs due to the AoE and fast cast time. Her blue orb does 2 sweeping kicks, dealing physical damage, and again if it's a 3 orb or matrix ping, ice damage, and after using this orb, Bambi skips to the end of her basic attack string. And finally, for her yellow orb, Bambi slides in before doing a horizontal slash, dealing physical damage, unless it's a 3 orb or matrix ping, then it does ice damage. You can dash cancel it, although it's not really worth doing, and it can be mainly used to gap close enemies. This is also her swap in attack. And for the core passive, well...
Oh my god, bro. Oh, hell no, man. What the fuck?
So I'll simplify her core passive a bit, then I'll give a TLDR afterwards. When Bambi uses orb pings, she fills the gauge, indicated at the bottom of the screen, and a 3 orb or matrix ping will fill the gauge to full. When any amount of the gauge is filled, hold down basic attack to consume it and leap into the air. If Bambi is attacked, holding basic attack automatically dodges it while sending her into the air, similar to Wansha or Nanamek's perfect dodge, and it can also trigger Matrix, and this consumes the gauge. While in the air, Bambi can use orb pings to deal additional damage on landing, and using the correct 3 orb ping will burn the stack of that color orb indicated at the top of the gauge. Bambi essentially forgets this orb and she can no longer gain any more of this orb until she ults. Her ultimate deals massive ice damage to enemies in an AoE, and if you burned all of the color orb stacks on the top of her gauge, the ultimate has a different animation and basically does more damage. Then her gauge resets. Note that even though she has a long ultimate animation, she does not get time stop like other debut S-rank omniframes. So to sum up what all of this means, use a 3 orb or matrix ping to fill up the jump gauge, then hold down basic attack to jump, and then 3 orb or matrix ping again to swing back down. And after you do this for each color orb, you can use an enhanced ultimate. And yeah, that's basically it. As for the leader passive, the team gets 10% ice damage, and as for Ascensions, at S rank, it lets her level up her attacker class skill, very important. At S5, she gets a free 3 orb ping on swap in, which is essential. And at SS, it gives her increased ice damage and QTE activation on ultimate, which is also very essential. At SS3, she gets an orb after using the jump attack to dodge, and increases the ultimate damage, but otherwise it's not really remarkable. And at SS, it reduces the gauge drain every 0.1 seconds that you hold the basic attack. So basically, you can hold down the basic attack for less time and proc the jump faster. It also gives extra damage bonus for each color stack consumed. Overall, a very nice quality of life to speed up her core passive jump attack. And at SS3, it increases her orb damage, at SS6, it increases her core passive damage, and at SS+, it increases her ultimate damage. SS rank should be the absolute minimum investment for the double QTE on ultimate if you plan to use her, and this is easily achievable with the event shop shards and pulling 1 copy from the standard banner, but being A rank, you can do interlude to get her to SS and SS+ eventually for free. Going through her weapons, her 5-star weapon is serviceable if you don't have the spare black cards. Don't use the 4-star weapon because it'll do no damage. Her 6-star signature weapon lets her only need to burn 2 separate color orb stacks instead of 3 after swapping in, and this basically enables her to use her enhanced ultimate more often and need less 3 orb pings overall. If you're intent on using her, her signature weapon is a good consideration for the increased quality of life and damage if you have the black cards. For 6-star weapon resonance priority, Deadline is the most important, followed by Matrix Lightning and Glorious Afterglow. Next for builds, her 5-star memories you can go for 4-piece Ike and 2-piece Gloria, and Bambi's primary 6-star memory build just so happens to be Lucia Plume's primary build, which is 4-piece Hannah, 2-piece Darwin. The positions don't really matter specifically for these two sets. and if you ever go for Plume in the future, you can just yoink the set off Bambi and stick it on Plume. But she's heavily dependent on 3-orb pings, so 4-piece Hana is a must. Resonate attack on the top position and ultimate on the bottom position, and you can choose to Hypertune slots 4, 5, and 6 if you have the spare materials, but definitely prioritize Hypertuning S-rank Omniframes over A-rank ones since they'll be phased out quicker. As for the team setup, you'll want Wansha on the red slot since it's Bambi's ideal orb, running 4-piece Da Vinci and 2-piece Guinevere. On the blue slot, you'll want Chrome Glory with 4-piece Chen Juan and 2-piece Einstein. If you don't have him, you can slot in Isla Brilliance instead with 4-piece Chen Juan and 2-piece Gloria. And then you'll have Bambi on 4-piece Hana and 2-piece Darwin on the remaining yellow slot. You'll want Bambi as the leader here, and Isla as the starter. As for playstyle and rotation, the full enhanced ultimate is kind of hard to achieve on Bambi, so honestly, once her ultimate comes up, even if you haven't burned all of the color orb stacks, just use the unenhanced ultimate anyways for the double QTE. The ultimate energy cost is fairly low, so it's very spammable, and usually spending a bunch of time trying to burn all the specific color orb stacks for the enhanced ultimate is not worth the damage increase. If you were lucky enough to grab Chrome Glory, you can rotate between him and Bambi, but if you have a pure budget team with Isla and Wansha, you mainly want to stay on Bambi for the damage, and only if she's absolutely out of orbs do you switch to Wansha. But in terms of gameplay, it's pretty simple. You use her core passive jump attack as many times as possible with 3 Orb Matrix pings that are given, and use the ultimate when you have it, then you just swap off. As for comparing her with the current S-rank Ice Attacker Omniframe, Lucia Plume, if you already have Lucia Plume, then thank you for watching this video. I don't know why you're here, but I appreciate it. But in all seriousness, Bambi is not going to be replacing Lucia Plume anytime soon. She just can't compete with the base S-rank's kit and damage as a base A-rank with similar investment. At best, Bambi is a side grade at SSS+ with her signature weapon to a SS Plume with her signature weapon for content where you don't need burst damage. Lucia Plume can swap in and burn multiple 3-orb or matrix red pings, then ult and obliterate an enemy in a span of a few seconds, especially with her rapid form swap in tech and orb dodge cancelling. While Bambi just lacks the single target damage and needs some time to set up to maximize her damage, so she can only be somewhat equivalent to Plume in heavy mob scenarios. Still, for those who don't have Plume, Bambi is a good enough alternative ice attacker, especially if you take the time to get her to higher ranks. And the slight downgrade is honestly fine since Bambi helps flesh out the non-existent budget ice team otherwise. And again, like all debut A-ranks, you can get 30 shards for free from the event shop, although I still recommend using the free standard pulls obtained through Operation Guardian and the beginner tutorial to pull a copy first. Then you can burn some serum in interlude missions to bring her to at least SSS if you plan to use her. But the main takeaway is to not spend black cards trying to pull her. The only thing I consider pulling with black cards is her signature weapon, and that's only if you plan to use her, but even then it's not a higher priority than using those black cards for future S-rank Omniframes or previous S-rank Omniframe weapons or pets. And I'm be real, if you're willing to wait just a little bit longer, you may not even have to invest in Bambi to begin with. And yeah, if there's any updates or corrections, I'll leave in a pinned comment down below as usual. If you have any questions, drop in the comments or ask the community Discord at dis.gg/Sparta2b, we're always there to help. Subscribe so you don't miss future guides and videos, and if you found this video informative, drop a like, a dislike if you didn't. I stream sometimes on my Twitch at twitch.tv/Sparta2b, so drop a follow you want to see when I go live and get questions answered live as well. But yeah, I don't know what's a bigger gap, the last A-rank debut or my upload schedule. But we did hit 20k subs, which is kinda insane, so thank you all, I love you guys, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Until then, take care, and peace, late.